can share my screen with you. I'm actually going to navigate you from just our homepage, and this is our district homepage. So this is blanket. This is where we direct all of our parents first. And then when you come to our middle schools page, this is where you get to our virtual learning center. Now, we have also linked this. This is also shared on our school's Facebook page. We have shared this into all of our separate Google Classrooms. This was a really great way for our teachers to be able to share this and help parents, and parents could access this anywhere. So when you first get to the first part of the page, there's a lot of information about why we developed the site, and that's pretty much what I had explained about the need for it, why we thought we would need it, the expectations we had for it. And this also gives a little rundown of our school. Our middle school is actually divided up into something that we call families. So families of teachers. Every family consists of a math teacher, a language arts teacher, science, and social studies. Our students are broken into their families, and they rotate classes, but not in a typical junior high way. In a kind of, they're grouped in a family together, so they're pretty much in one hallway together. We have 3 different families, and the idea was we could get our students into just their homerooms, then we could get them to the classes that they needed to be registered in. If anyone is familiar with Google Classroom and adding a bunch of courses at the same time, especially coming from grade school where usually they're just in one at best, to middle school, they go from adding 1 Google Classroom code to adding at least 5. So for us, that was a problem. One little typo caused 32 problems immediately in the office. So we wanted to eliminate that. We wanted to take that option, but take as many errors away and as much user error as we could. So we did something because we built virtual classrooms. If you click here and you want to use this to add your students to their appropriate classroom, you see, if you are not sure where your student is, there are some pages, and these are pages that are hidden. So they're not necessarily in the navigation, so they're only there for people that actually click on them, that actually need them. I kind of wanted to keep this as clean as possible to keep our parents from, accidentally clicking and kind of getting lost and having to start all over, because that can happen with pages as well. And it's very easy to do with this because there's so many good things you can do with it. I have to kind of reel myself back in because I get very excited about it. So what this is actually adding students to Google Classroom. So this is where it tells them how to navigate. You're going to do your startup page so they did their startup page based on their homeroom teacher. All of our students are enrolled in 5 classes. And that's explained to their parents. And this just shows an example of the buttons of what they're going to be clicking. Now, we have a 4th period. You'll notice that it's missing, that we actually rotate, and we do a supplemental RTI course for every student in our building. Everybody receives additional reading and math instruction, so that's why you don't see a 4th period. And that's all this is, clearing up here, because we didn't want anybody to be confused thinking they had missed a class. So if you don't know how to add your students to their Google Classroom, this is one that explains it. This is screenshots off of this actual page. I screenshotted and created these images to be able to make parents. I'm a visual learner. I like to actually see things. So I know a lot of people are the same way, especially when it comes to computer stuff and you're not that familiar with it. This actually navigates and shows our families. So if I say, which family are you in? And you're like, oh, I know who's homeroom, but I don't know. We wanted to clear that up. Again, we have new babies coming in the building that we've never got to meet yet. So this was our sample homeroom, and one that what it looked like as well. So it shows the parents where to click. It shows them what to put out, or where to click to add themselves to their classroom. And again, it explains about the lack of the 4th period, because we did have some questions about that. So from the virtual classroom, I'm actually going to start you in Family 3 because there's an additional thing I want to show you. These are all of our Family 3 teachers. You notice that we have Miss Long, who's our social studies teacher, Mr. Prater, Miss Rao, and Mr. Shepherd. This one is actually my brother-in-law. Students have the ability to click on their little Bitmojis of their teachers. If I click on we'll use Mr. Prater as an example. You notice on my screen here, it automatically brings up my email And it does that for the students as well. Any Bitmoji person that they click on, it will automatically start composing email for that teacher. So that's an easy way for parents. Now, kids can do that in Google Classroom. It's pretty easy to, relatively easy to communicate with your teacher. Parents, sometimes it's a little more difficult. And of course, our school issued emails are a mouthful and they're long, and this takes kind of the guesswork out of that. We didn't want that to be there. So if I'm a student in Miss Long's homeroom, then I click on Miss Long. And this takes me, and some of our teachers have added their own Bitmoji classrooms, and a lot of them have actually created them that I haven't added them here yet, but this is Miss Long's. If I am in her first period, I'm going to go here. Once I click on this button that adds for first period, and you will notice I clicked on the button and it takes me straight to her first period class. Now, if I am a student, all this asks me to do is join this class. And it says join as your school, and then of course it shows up their school email. The reason it takes me straight in is because I'm a teacher in all of their Google Classrooms, so I can see the kiddos and see what's going on in there. But this works for everybody. We have an additional button here. Mr. Pence, our band teacher, is actually, this is one of the few supplemental kind of elective courses that we have that is offered to our kids. That's why there's two options. Some of them are in art. Some of the kids in this homeroom will be in art, some will be in band. But we wanted, again, both options in one place. We had very few kids that actually had the error of doing both. Some that ask if they could, they're like, well, I'm taking band, but can I do art too? I'm like, sure, Miss Yance won't mind. We're virtual. It's fine. So we actually ended up with some kids being able to double dip and take extra classes, and they didn't overlap. So now this is actually built the same way. So any family member or any family that I go into or any homeroom that I go into, it will work the same way. Depending on the homeroom, and that's how we had them grouped. And this was super easy to navigate over the phone, which again was the biggest thing that we were having to accomplish, was to instruct them how to get there. This was Mr. Shepard, one of our math teachers. He is also a very googly fellow. He is one of our best tech support people. He is an awesome teacher. We are super, super lucky to have many like him. This is actually his Google Sites. Mr. Shepard has built independent Google Sites for his 7th and 8th grade students. We went ahead and this was not a requirement of our teachers. We didn't ask that of them, but he really enjoys doing this. So we hyperlinked those as well. So that way it was, again, one-stop shop so they could get there. And he has also built a separate one for his school. He's our school academic team coach. So we had some teachers that do that. Again, those that were more comfortable, we kind of let them go with it. We have also big things that we had, our resource and collaboration teachers. They are all linked in here as well. And then our arts and humanities teachers, all right here in the same place. We wanted them all where they were easy to contact, easy to get up with, easy for the kids to get back and forth to. Then we had our office support. So all they had to do, my principal, Mr. Yates, I was super nice. I took out some of his gray hair. Well, I couldn't take out mine and not take out his, so I figured that was part of the deal. But we have information here and that allows parents to contact us. This has been super helpful. With emails, I will say in the first week, I've received more emails from parents than I've ever gotten before. It has been, which, the phone has been congested in the office, but this has been a quick way. And I tell people that this is a great way to get up with us. And this is a great way for me to respond to you. I do this a lot more timely, honestly, with email than I do with phone calls, because emails I can kind of walk and do them at the same time, and phone calls that's not always possible. So we have myself, Mr. Yates, we're both linked here. Miss Dyer, our guidance counselor, our youth service center coordinator, does an excellent job working with our parents, and she is on there as well. And Mr. Jack Prater, my husband, Mr. Prater, there's all kinds of Praters here at the middle school, just in case you were wondering. But Mr. Jack Prater, and he is our digital learning coach here at the middle school, and he has been a huge help and asset, and he's definitely earned his keep, I should say, this week. I'd say he's very, very tired. But he was, this is where we had set up a link where parents could directly contact him as well. We did actually install an additional phone line, trying to filter out technology related calls just to him. But honestly, they have used the email thing from here more. So it was super helpful. One thing that we had, and it actually might have changed since the first time that you saw it, was our student schedules. This has actually been super, super beneficial to us. It was additionally under more information, but I found we were using it the most out of all of our pieces of this website. So we actually moved it from underneath of more information and made it its own tab. So it was easier for parents to get to. They could literally go from the home page straight to schedules. The reason we did that is we have had a lot of questions about what time kids need to be online and when they need to be and what they need to be doing. We have published schedules for our teachers. We have published schedules for our students of when they need to be on there. So this is probably been the most used resource that we've had of when teachers are going to be live, which was marked by this little asterisk. And again, all of this stuff we're sharing on our social media pages, we're sharing in Google Classroom. This was a quick and easy, friendly way to get it to all of our parents. I create an email group at the beginning of each school year with my parents in there. Every parent email that we have, we do digital intake on our back to school forms. I get a lot of email from there. I just create an email group at the beginning of the year. And this is the first thing that I sent out to them this year. Kind of take a look around, click around this, see what you think, see what you can learn from this. And if you have any questions and I took suggestions of, is there anything that I have missed that you would need readily available, something you can click. The good thing about using this as a site, parents were able to bookmark it on their phones, and it literally showed up very similar to what an app does. They created a bookmark and they can go back to it anytime, and anytime it's updated, it'll always do the same thing. So a couple of back to school or a couple of other options that we wanted to make sure we got our parents to. Again, if they needed help adding to Google Classroom, this is there. If they needed help with Google Classroom, this was actually a separate resource that I had shared with them, but it's also embedded here. So parents can click. This is the one that has some really good information about submitting assignments was the biggest problem we had last year. This walks them through that step by step. And again, this is something I had created prior to building the site, but I thought, why not? Let's put it all in one place and just make it very easy for them to get to. Infinite Campus, some information that I had shared with our parents also about how to get on Infinite Campus, how to make their parent portal. We put that there too. They need to know what those things can do. They hear, and I think we kind of get a little bad in education to talk about things because we spend all of our days talking to teachers, and especially me, my whole family's teachers. So we talk about these things, and you say things like Infinite Campus to parents. And I thought I don't know if we do good enough job communicating to them what resources they have available to them to stay connected with their students. How do they stay engaged with their kids? And that's not new. COVID and school closure didn't cause that. It's just something that brought it to the forefront and showed us exactly what we need to be doing. And we have been really lucky that we have kind of jumped on board before. So here is the last piece that I'm going to show you right now is our return to school forms. But students can click here. They can fill out every single form that we ask of them. If they need to fill out a T code, that one's really important to us. For example, they have to fill one of these out every year. If you're a parent that absolutely loathes that packet, and we have parents that loathe that packet, they can click on it and fill every single piece out from here, provide an electronic signature, and never have to pick up the packet. They can sit on their couch and watch Netflix and fill them out one at a time and not have to do it all. And they come straight to me. The handy part about that for us is they're already PDFs, they're digital, and I can upload them, attach them to those students' Infinite Campus files, and they're accessible anywhere in this building. So there's no big carrying around the binder or any of that mess anymore. We have really tried to streamline as much as possible. And again, I think that was kind of the overall goal with the site. And My principal is great. He is probably, I don't know if I tell everybody, I get a little manic and I get a little, excited and a little woo sometimes. I'm like, if I get that way, you have to tell me. Um, this is the piece that I absolutely love. He knows that, and he's just like, you take that and run with it. And he was, he's super supportive, and he was like, this is an amazing idea, and it's super helpful for our parents. So he is, again, he's been a big help, and it's so neat. He's like, I feel like you have taught me so much. He said, just because I can walk these people, if people are calling, obviously one person can't handle all the phone calls, but anybody. Like I said, our office staff, our teachers, me and my principal, we all worked straight through this the first couple of days of school, and just, okay, here's how we click through, here's how we're going to lead people through. And he's like, I feel like one of those tech help people on the phone. And he's like, I feel like I'm really helping people because it's so easy to walk them through. And once people get it, once they get to the right place, the big thing is getting to the right homeroom. Once they get there, all of their classes are already built. And again, that takes those links anywhere you go. It takes you straight into your Google Classroom. If you are a parent, it will not give you, it's not going to add you to it as a parent, but it will if you log in with their student accounts. So anybody else, and there were some questions about, well, that kind of puts your invite link public. Well, our Google Classroom is locked down from the administrative side, that no one that does not have a McGoffin County Schools account can join those classes anyway. They can be a guardian, and they can receive guardian summaries for a student, but they can't join in anyway. One thing we didn't share on here that we kind of hashed back and forth about, how do we get our live links to our kids? Those are the part that we couldn't put on here. I didn't want to make those public. I didn't want a security issue with those. And that has been the biggest struggle that we have had this week. The one thing that we did not put on here has honestly been the hardest thing that we've had to navigate. But, and I'm okay with that just because of the security. I'll take the sense of security that random people can't join my kids' Teams meetings so that, I'll deal with that part just so we can kind of keep that from being an issue. But it is, but it's been a huge help. It has honestly helped us navigate through our kiddos. It's helped our parents astronomically.